Panthers. Good job. I respect the patience. I respect the self-awareness. You resisted the temptation to say, we're above 500 at the deadline. Let's go spend. We're going for it, baby. First round postseason exit is worth all of our picks. Let's go for it. They resisted the urge, and I respect that. They had the self-awareness to say, we're good. We are a solid NFL team right now. We are not one player away from contending. We are not, hey, if we only had this or these few things, we could go challenge the top of the conference. But we're also not so bad that we need to think constantly about our draft capital and send away everything that's not strapped down. Good patience and self-restraint. Do you know why I think a good portion of the football analysts and also I would even say like front office people across the league don't think the Panthers are one player away? Bryce Young. If you had a simply more upper echelon, trustworthy quarterback, and I'm not saying this is about Bryce as a dude. I'm saying this about Bryce as a football player. By all accounts, seems like a great guy. He's going to keep working, keep doing all the things right. From a football standpoint, I think it's shown that he's limited. And there weren't any legit quarterbacks available at the deadline. That's always a pipe dream. You wouldn't move somebody and expect them to come in and be the franchise quarterback anyway, unless you're Joe Flacco. Apparently he can just drop in anywhere and be super duper. Bryce Young is becoming a really interesting case. This past week, threw for 102 yards. No touchdowns. 1 interception. Won the football game. Which opens up the door for the Bryce Young fans to say the only stat that matters is winning the football game. And, yeah, I get it. And you have to say it. Yeah, winning's the only thing that matters. Sacrifice everything for a win. I'll cut off my pinky for a win. I don't need a left toe. I don't know. Like, it's just appendages being chopped off for wins because it's that important. And I get you. 102 passing yards. 102 passing yards shows that the team thinks the best way to win is to hide you. That's the people that support you. That's the people that are with you every day in practice. That's the people that call the plays. The best way to support you, the best way to win is to not ask you to do that much. And I don't know if that's how the game plan started. I know that's what the game plan was after the interception. It just became, can we put this dude in bubble wrap? I went and looked it up. The interception, which was a bad interception, by the way. I did. I haven't tweeted this out. Coaches tell me to wait to react until I look at it from multiple angles. So my gut reaction, not a good play, but let's wait. The wind was involved, but also it wasn't like throw a spiral, right? Throw a spiral, cuts through the wind.
Yeah.
Have a stronger arm, cut it through the wind. I watched that entire game. Very rarely did I say, oh, Jordan Love's pass got caught in the wind because he was throwing darts. And every single pass of Bryce Young was like, did that get moved? That was a hitch 5 yards in front of him. Did that thing move 2 feet to the left?
Jordan Love drops in, hits a couple of passes downfield, at least put it on target. That were 50 yards downfield.
So that was a really bad play.
It was terrible.
After that play, he threw for 102 yards. Before the interception, he was 4 for 4 for 36 yards. He did have that fumble where it got hit and then scooped by Chuba Hubbard. Mm-hmm. If you want to count that as an incompletion or a bad pass play, 4 for 5 for 36 yards. After that play, 7 for 16 for 66 yards. That play happened about 2 minutes into the second quarter. So he had essentially 3 quarters left to go. He threw for 66 yards. 19 of them came on the final drive. The best play he had, and if you I don't want to say the best play. He had one little scramble throw that was okay. But the most crucial play towards winning that he made was an improv activity before the play. And you can go look it up. People on Twitter are giving him a lot of love for this. He acted like he was calling out pass protections and telling Rico Dowdle who to block on a play on the final drive that they ended up driving for the game-winning field goal. And then he handed it off to Rico Dowdle. And then you go post-game, Micah Parsons is saying, yeah, I didn't expect him to run. I thought they were going to pass. It was a great play call. And everyone's like, well, that's because he gave him the old razzmatazz with the acting before the play. He thought that they were going to pass it because Rico, you're a quarterback in the NFL. I don't believe there is a position in sports that impacts winning and losing as much as quarterback in the NFL. Maybe starting pitcher, but that only happens once every 5 games. Quarterback's out there every single time. You are a quarterback in the NFL. And if at the end of the game we're saying the biggest play you made to impact winning was a Saturday Night Live sketch that you and your running back put on before the snap, it screams loudly, right? It's a negative space picture. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you look at what Bryce Young did, there's some good. But if you look at what he didn't do, I think that tells the story as much as anything. And it goes on and on and on for the wins that he's had in his career. Yeah, he made on almost all of them, right? He has 11 wins, 9 of them game-winning drives. Those drives are pretty awesome, but it's the things he didn't do in the first, second, third quarters, beginning of the fourth quarter, that put him in that situation that tell as much of the story as anything. Now, I am a big proponent of don't make a decision before you have to. Okay? Don't decide if you're going left or right until you get to the fork in the road. Because guess what? You might pull up and one way might be closed for construction. And you're like, well, we spent all that time debating and we didn't even have a decision to make. So you can gather information and all of that. Prepare to make a decision. I'm just saying don't make it, stamp it, triple stamp official. Right? So if you're already saying like Bryce Young has to go or Bryce Young needs a contract extension or pick up his 5th-year option, I'm going, why are you making that decision now? You don't have to make it till this offseason. But gather information, right? Be prepared to have to make whatever decision you have to make. One of the hardest things to do, I would imagine, I've never been a GM, but I've watched the rise and fall of teams and multiple sports my entire life. The hardest thing to do, it seems, is to make changes with I would say middling, even playoff roster. If you're not in the barrel, if you're not in the bottom, if you're not in the dungeon, there's a desire, a urge to not make any big changes because you could get worse. When you're the worst team in the league and you're changing quarterbacks and you're changing coaches and you're changing, that's easy, right? Because it's so bad. How could it get worse? It's hard when you're like, you made the playoffs the last 2 years, but you got to make a big change. It's hard when, yeah, you're above 500, but you got to make a change. Look at what the Seattle Seahawks did. Seahawks were a playoff team last year. Geno Smith was one of the stories of the league, right? His reclamation project in Seattle. They moved on they made big changes. They brought in Sam Darnold. They changed up some things. And guess what? Gangbusters. Jackson Smith-Njigba was maybe the best receiver in the league this year. They're winning, and they're all in. They're making trades to get players. They got Rashid Shaheed earlier today. I'm not saying you have to make the decision to move on from Bryce now. But I'm saying prepare yourself for maybe having to make that decision. Nothing firm, right? There's still a bunch of games left here, and maybe he has a bunch of 300-yard passing games and wins, in which case I would go, thank goodness we didn't lock in our decision back in November 4th. But be prepared to make a decision where perhaps you are 9-8. Perhaps you are playing meaningful football into the last month of the season. You have that week 14 bye followed by 3 out of 4 games being in division. Maybe those games matter for playoffs. And however they go, you might still have to make a decision on your quarterback in the offseason. Be prepared for it. Are you winning games because of him, or are there better options out there that might turn that 9-8 season into 11, 12 wins, whatever it ends up being?
How often are you going to sustain winning with your starting quarterback going 11 of 20 for 102 yards and a pick?
Or
how long can you be honest? How long can you sustain that?
The other option would be to tell Bryce, listen, we understand what we have to do around you to win. You want to take this $4 million a year contract? Because then we can go get the offensive line and running game and defense that is needed for us to win around you, right? We're not going to find a Rico Dowdle for $3 million on the scrap heap who's ready to be the best running back in the league once he takes over every year. That's not sustainable. We might be able to get a Derrick Henry if we're willing to pay $15 million a year, but we need that to come out of your salary. And by the way, Bryce won't do that because he's a smart business guy, and I'm sure he has an agent that likes big houses. But my point is, these wins where you're working very hard to hide the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of the quarterback, they don't prove to me that he is the dude moving forward. If you give him the opportunity to be the dude moving forward and he lives up to it, we can revisit, and we will revisit. But I'm not watching that game at any point in time and thinking, outside of maybe the last drive, I'll give him that. He's weirdly calm on last drives.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a whole lot out there I'm thinking thank goodness they have Bryce Young. And that probably says all you need to say for where he is right now. 102 passing yards. And I've been a quarterback that wins at the college level, FCS level, throwing for 60 yards. It's a weird, not good, hollow feeling. You win, you're happy, you're high-fiving your teammates. Inside, you're like, I threw for nothing today, and I don't really know if I should be celebrating like everybody else. It's a weird feeling, I promise you. The Drive with Tim